what happens to a property which has been rented out by an NRI landlord in Punjab? Can he get back the possession of his property? Does the law have any special provisions for recovering possession of a property which is owned by an NRI landlord? The Punjab Rent Act categorically provides for relief for a person who is a non-resident Indian and has property, whether commercial or residential, and requires each of them for his personal use. He can approach the court under due process of law and get back his property from the tenant. There have been plethora of judgments earlier before section 24. There was a section 13B which was applicable to non-resident Indians, where there have been plethora of judgments where a person who is a non-resident Indian has a property, is a landlord, can get back the property from the tenant. The points that need to be considered when we are talking about the Punjab Rent Act is, this is applicable to the jurisdiction of Punjab. That is one. You must be a non-resident Indian to avail this provision. You must establish a landlord-tenant relationship. When I say how do you establish a landlord-tenant relationship? You have to prove that either there is a rent deed or you've been issuing rent receipts in lieu of the rent which has been coming to your bank accounts. There must be an establishment that you are also the owner of the property. The ownership of the property is established through documents such as title deeds, a mutation sanctioned in your name. There is some documentation to show if you've inherited the property. These are things which must be considered when seeking a relief under this Act. What must not be forgotten while seeking this remedy, that you cannot sell the property. Now, when a non-resident Indian landlord is seeking a relief under this provision, he may do so for the purposes of personal necessity, a bona fide requirement. When we say bona fide requirement, a personal necessity, it means for his personal use or that of his immediate family, maybe son, daughter, wife, mother. So, if you have a commercial space, you want to set up a business for your son, that would be considered a ground for personal necessity, and so would be if you would require the house for seeing your family or coming and staying here, your family needs to stay here, that will also be considered a bona fide requirement. However, when you are seeking a remedy under this Act, you cannot let out the property. Once you have recovered the possession under this Act, you cannot let out the property again to a tenant. You have to retain the property because you have taken the property for bona fide requirement. And when I say you cannot let out the property, it is for a stipulated period of 3 years from recovering the possession. The property cannot be let out. Therefore, the laws are becoming clearer and easier for people who are living abroad to recover back their properties, provided they follow it under the due process of law.